Still in the Leningrad 1973 Interzonal. Now their second round game between Robert Byrne and Byrne-Rukavina. So we go e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and bishop b4, the Ruy Lopez. We get the a6, the most common move here. Challenge the bishop to do something immediately. Bishop a4, knight f6, attacking the central pawn, and white just castles. It could be taken, but that turns it into something completely different. We go with the main line, bishop e7, rook e1, defends the pawn, and then now we are probably threatening to take here and here, so black plays b5, bishop b3, and just defends his pawn. Well, it was not attacked either anyways, but also we now established that we're not going to see the marshal here today. c3, planning d4, black castles, and white plays h3, takes away this square from the bishop, and that puts the question how to make this guy useful. Well, knight a5 is the Chicorin variation. Here we get the knight b8 instead. Now it wants to put the bishop here, so the knight gets out of the way. To pressure the e4, knight might relocate to d7 to support the center even further. Well, white goes for it, and black defends the e5. And then knight h4. Maybe a little premature. Most games go with the knight bd2, but Byrne had played this knight h4 move already in a earlier game in the Olympiad against Hans Rie. Well, rook e8. Now that there is no longer threats against the f7, rook goes to e-file. Eventually that's going to be a lot of pressure on e4 pawn. And Byrne puts this guy here, f5. Very aggressive square, but Rukavina drops the bishop back, covers this, opens the e-file. Now maybe at some point threatens to play g6 and kick the knight away, but you have to be worried about knight h6 always if you try to do it, and you probably have to give up the bishop to get rid of the f7 threat. And here, this is still following the earlier game from the Olympiad against Hans Rie, f3. So the problems here are that now black was probably threatening to take here, so white had to defend this some way. Problem with for instance, using the knight now is that you would block the bishop here and allow g6 to work. So that's not the ideal solution. You'd have to go back, and then what did we gain? Somehow managed to maneuver this knight here. Maybe we can bring this guy out here, and then we get the normal knight pattern, but with some extra loops. Other way to defend the e4 would have been queen f3, but that also is instantly pinned here, and again you have some problems how to deal with this. And then anytime you play d5, you not only block this bishop, but also black can always try to play c6 and re-establish the threats around here. Anyways, f3. Of course it weakens the dark squares quite a lot, but hopefully that is not going to be a problem. Well, that's a really solid way to defend this and makes the prayer bishop look a lot less threatening on b7. Well, there it goes anyways. And white goes bishop g5. And black challenges the bishop a little bit instantly, but lets the pin stay around here. And the previous game I was talking about continued with g6. Probably better move than the Rukavina's choice d5 in this game. Let's look at a little bit how it went. Bishop g7, knight b d2, c6, knight fd, df1, queen b6, bishop b2, and Byrne did also win that game eventually. He had a good memories from the f3 line. Here, Rukavina chose completely different line, d5 instantly, exploding the center. But maybe he's not really that well suited to that, because there is the pins and that pawn, for instance, cannot be recaptured yet. Well, black took on d4 instead. His point is that he's thinking that he's gonna win this pawn back. The knight, well, first he attacked the knight away from the very good square on f5, and then he goes here, wants to win this back. Now there's 4 attackers there. Well, white keeps on defending it, and here black breaks the pin. The other line would have been maybe to challenge the defender here, but problem is this pin here. And then there's some funny lines where, for instance, if you try to do this, then you can actually go for bishop takes, knight g4, and you drop back here, you'll end up in a world of hurt with the really cool tactics, knight ef6 check. And if you take it, we take here in between. Now if you recapture, you get forked. So that would have been quite bad. So instead, black says enough, g5. But of course, yeah, you make this hole for the knight here again, and further weaken your king side. Bishop here, looking at this square here. So if everybody gets traded off, we can maybe sneak off c7. Well, black takes, banking on the fact that he could, after knight takes, he has this in between move here to distract somebody. Takes with the knight, and then queen e4, pinning the bishop. Here black should have just played c6. Still fighting on, but white is definitely much better here. A bit mainly about the king safety is quite of horrible. And also you just shut down your bishop there, but some ideas with everybody lining up with the king side. Well, in a game he took, maybe thinking that white's gonna take here, but white said no. Queen g6, taking advantage of the f7 being pinned, and bishop blocked. Well, no options. If you go into the corner, this is gonna finish the game immediately. You can throw in stuff in between, but that's a mate. So he blocked with the bishop, and white picked up a pawn with check, and then just took the knight back with a nice center. Well, it's not that big, but at least it's solid. But black said, I'm gonna break your center. Now if you take it, then you're gonna lose the rook here. Well, white's not gonna take it. He's gonna play bishop e5, kill the last defender of the king. Oh, black took, and white takes. There's a really fast pawn here. Well, black gets his pawn back, hoping to do something with this pawn. Just rook d1, threatening to go here. Black offers the queen trade, hoping that would survive, but White's not interested, he picks up a pawn on c7, hitting the bishop and the pawn. Black gives up that bishop. Well, he was completely hopeless anyways, but his last some kind of an effort here. Push the pawn and somehow trick white, but white just took the bishop and called the bluff. c2, let's put the rook under it. Now he's trying to take it, maybe. There's of course the forks here. Why black could place check here, but king now goes to the corner and still threatening to take here. It's no good at all. So he tried rook d8. I don't know even if that threatens anything since that's covered twice. But white just took the pawn anyways, threatening mate. And black had enough and resigned. So that was quite a fast win. Okie dokie. Until next time. Ciao ciao.